This is the story of how I got a free wine bottle opener and I met a professional football team. Yes, believe it or not. So, in the story from last night, I had finished up my time at the San Diego Naval Shipyard. And our next port of call, actually it wasn't port of call, was about 3-ish hours north to a place called Port Hueneme. So we'd had a long day in San Diego, our final day with the naval shipyard there, and we had to make this long drive after a full work day up to Port Hueneme, which is near Oxnard, California. By the time we got there, it was really late. We were really tired, so my coworker went and got his room, and I went to the front desk, and I signed all the paperwork and gave over my credit card and took my little card key. That was when they were first starting out with those electronic card keys. It was a fairly new technology in 1985, believe it or not. And so they handed me my card key and I toddled off to my room with my luggage. As I mentioned, I was quite tired. So I put the little key in and it unlocked the door and I got into my hotel room. I unpacked, which I always do, put my stuff away, and was changing my clothes to get ready for bed. So I was around the corner from the doorway to the room. Suddenly, it's like almost 11 o'clock at night, and I hear click. The card key. There was a card key being used on my door. Clunk. I heard the door latch disengaging. And the door started to open. And I threw myself at the door and pushed it shut. I must have flown across the room. I don't know how I did it. But I'm like, what are you doing? And this person, a man on the other side of the door, said, why are you in my room? Your room? This is my room. He said, well, I just checked in at the front desk and they gave me this key and they said this was my room. They had given the same room to two different people, one of whom was a 23-year-old girl, and the other of whom was some older businessman type dude. I was livid. My heart was pounding out of my chest, and I was so mad. Oh. So anyways, he said he would go down to the desk and try to get it straightened out and get him another room. So I called the front desk and I expressed my displeasure at the turn of events. And of course, it was late at night, and the manager wasn't there. So I said, okay, I'll come down and talk to somebody in the morning. So the next morning, got up, got dressed, got ready to go to work at Port Hueneme. And I went and I said, I'd like to talk to the manager on duty, please. And they directed me, and I explained. I said, look, this could have gone very, very badly. Here I am, a young single woman in a hotel room late at night by myself, and you gave my room key to someone else, and had it not been for the fact that I threw myself against the door and closed it and immediately slammed the safety latch, what in the world is your process? So now, of course, I've got my process improvement hat on, and I'm like ready to go analyze all of his systems and his processes to figure out where things went astray. Anyways, the manager was very apologetic and just, over and over again, I'm so sorry, ma'am, I'm so sorry this happened. It was kind of funny being 23 and called ma'am, but anyways, it's like, all right, no harm, no foul. I just want to let you know there's an error somewhere in your processing that your system allowed the desk to give a room that was already occupied to someone else. I'm like, yes, we'll take care of it. We'll look into it. I'll make sure we report it. I'm so sorry for your inconvenience. Whatever. So I went off to my day at Port Hueneme. It was a pretty cool base. The Seabees were located there, so I got to see some of what they do in their training. But it was a fairly long day. So when I got back to the hotel, so I put my card key in my door and I opened my hotel room door, and there on the chest of drawers was the hugest fruit basket I think I've ever seen in my life. It was huge, overflowing fruit. And I think there were 2 bottles of wine, a red and a white, and cheeses you know, and what do they call that now? Charcuterie? I guess that's the word. So much food and wine. And they even were thoughtful enough to include a wine bottle opener. So we were only going to be there, I think, 1 or 2 more nights. So I gorged myself on that food for the next 2 days and gave some to my coworkers and took a bunch of it to work the next day for the guys at the base because we had to fly back home the next day. So anyway, so I took a bunch of fruit to work with me that day. We had a short day that next day. So thankfully it was a beautiful, like I said, it was like July, I'm pretty sure, 1985. So got back to the hotel and so I put my swimsuit on and I went down to the hotel pool. So I stretched out on one of the chaise lounges there by the pool, and I just kind of had just barely drifted off into a nice little sun-induced nap when I heard voices. Lots of voices. Loud, low, male voices. Like they were congregating at the pool suddenly. And I opened my eyes and I looked up, and these men were huge. I'm like, who in the world are these guys? They were all just like ridiculously large men. Not like overweight men, but like muscular large men. And what in the world? Finally, I found somebody. I said, who are all these guys? Wouldn't you know it? The Navy had put us up at the Oxnard Hilton. And that just happened to be where the LA Raiders were having their training camp. They were putting the LA Raiders up at the same hotel where I was, and they had all decided to come to the pool. So that was my second exciting story of my couple of days that I spent in Oxnard, California back in 1985. So needless to say, this was an exciting trip for a 23-year-old kid, her first business trip ever. Anyways, very exciting trip, and I still have my wine bottle opener that the hotel gifted me, and this was my little memento. So I always carried this in my backpack, and every time I used it, I remembered the story, and I would share it with people, and they thought it was kind of funny. So thus ends my trip, my first business trip to California. So that's it for tonight. Take care. God bless. And I'm so thankful that he protected me.